Ever wondered how to fix a squeaky door hinge without calling a professional? Or how to create your own bookshelf with just some basic tools and materials? Welcome to the world of do-it-yourself, where we empower you to take charge of your living space, to transform it into an expression of your personality, your needs, and your skills. DIY projects are more than just a means to an end. They're a journey of discovery, of learning, and of self-reliance. One of the great benefits of DIY is the satisfaction that comes from solving common household problems without having to rely on outside help. A leaky faucet, a loose floorboard, a worn-out piece of furniture. All these can be tackled with a bit of know-how, the right tools, and a can-do attitude. But DIY isn't just about fixing things, it's also about creating, building, and adding value to your home. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to embark on a journey of creation by building a simple wooden stool. This project is perfect for beginners because it requires only basic tools and materials, and yet the end result is something functional, durable, and attractive. But why a stool, you ask? Well, a stool is a versatile piece of furniture. It can be used as a seat, a step, a stand for a plant or lamp, and so on. Plus, it's a great way to learn the basics of woodworking, which can then be applied to more complex projects. So what do you say? Are you ready to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty? Are you ready to transform a stack of wooden planks into a beautiful, useful stool that you can proudly say you made with your own two hands? Remember, in the world of DIY, it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about learning new skills, overcoming challenges, and creating something that is truly your own. Ready to become a master of DIY? Let's dive into our project, building a simple wooden stool. Scene script. First, gather all the necessary materials. You need two 2x4s, a piece of plywood, wood glue, screws, and some basic tools. Let's start with the 2x4s. These are sturdy pieces of wood that will form the legs of your stool. Next, we have a piece of plywood. This will be your seat. You can find these at your local hardware store or even repurpose some from old furniture. Moving on to wood glue, it's an essential ingredient in ensuring a strong bond between the pieces of our stool. Screws are what we'll use to secure everything together. You'll need a screwdriver or a drill for this. As for the basic tools, we're talking about a saw to cut your wood, a tape measure for accurate measurements, and some sandpaper to smooth out any rough edges. Don't worry if you don't have these at hand. You can substitute with similar items or borrow from a friend. Once you have all your materials ready, you can start the building process. The first step in building your stool is to cut the wood. And don't worry, it's not as daunting as it may sound. With a little bit of patience and a steady hand, you'll have your pieces cut out and ready to assemble in no time. So let's dive into it. We'll start by measuring our 2x4s. Remember, accurate measurements are key to a successful project, so take your time with this step. For our stool, we need 4 pieces of 2x4s, each 24 inches long. Mark your measurements clearly on the wood before you make your cuts. Next, we'll move on to our plywood. We need a square piece measuring 18 by 18 inches. This will serve as the seat of our stool. Again, take your time when marking out your measurements. It's always better to measure twice and cut once. Now let's talk about safety. Cutting wood can be dangerous if not done properly, so make sure you're wearing the appropriate safety gear, safety glasses, gloves, and a dust mask. And always remember to keep your fingers well away from the path of the saw blade. When you're ready to start cutting, make sure your wood is secured before you begin. A good clamp can be your best friend during this process. And when you're cutting, let the saw do the work. Don't force it. Just guide it along your marked line. Once you've cut your pieces, don't forget to give them a quick sanding to smooth out any rough edges. This will make assembly easier and give your finished stool a polished look. And there you have it. You've measured, cut, and sanded your wood. And you're ready to move on to the next step in the process. Remember, the key to any DIY project is patience, accuracy, and safety. Great job! Now you have all the pieces you need to start assembling your stool. Now comes the fun part, putting it all together. We've seen how to gather the right materials and cut the wood to size. Now, we get to see the fruits of our labor as we assemble the stool. It's not just about slapping pieces together, it's about creating something sturdy, functional, and aesthetically pleasing. Start by taking the 2x4s you've cut for the legs. You should have 4 pieces, 2 for each leg. Place 2 of these pieces in a parallel position, about a foot apart. Now take the other 2 pieces and lay them across the first 2, forming a square shape. This will be the base of your stool. Next, you'll want to secure these pieces together. Here's where the wood glue comes in. Apply a generous amount of glue at the points where the wood pieces intersect. But remember, while glue can hold things together, it's not the most reliable for a piece of furniture that's going to carry weight. That's where screws come in. Drill a couple of screws into each intersection point. Make sure the screws are long enough to go through both pieces of wood. This will guarantee that your stool's legs are sturdy and secure. But don't rush this part. Take your time and ensure everything is aligned correctly. That's the key to a solid foundation. Now onto the seat of the stool. You should have a piece of plywood cut to the size you want your seat to be. Position this piece of plywood on top of the square you've just assembled. The plywood should sit flush with the top of the legs. Once again, bring out your trusty wood glue. Apply it on the top surface of the legs where the plywood will sit. Place the plywood on the glued surface, making sure it's centered. It's crucial that the seat is well balanced. Just like with the legs, we're not going to rely solely on glue. Drill a few screws through the plywood into the top of the legs. Be careful not to drill too far. You don't want the screws poking out the other side of the plywood. Once you've secured the seat, give it some time. Let the glue dry and the screws settle in. This will give your stool the strength it needs. You're doing great so far. Look at what you've created. It's starting to look like a real stool, isn't it? But remember, patience is the key. Don't rush to use your new stool just yet. Wonderful, you've just assembled your very own stool, but we're not done yet. Next, we're going to add the finishing touches to make your stool not just functional, but a piece of art. Stay tuned. Now that your stool is assembled, it's time to add the finishing touches. This is where the magic really happens, transforming a simple wooden structure into a piece of artistry that reflects your personal taste and style. Firstly, let's talk about painting. You could go for a solid color, perhaps something that complements your room's decor, or maybe even a bold color to make it a statement piece. Remember to start with a primer to ensure the paint adheres well and the wood grains don't show through. Use a paintbrush or roller to apply even coats and let each coat dry thoroughly before applying the next. Alternatively, you might want to consider staining your stool. Staining brings out the natural beauty of the wood, highlighting the grains and patterns. Light or dark, glossy or matte, the choice is entirely yours. The application process is similar to painting, but with a cloth instead of a brush. Don't forget to wear gloves. Stains can be quite stubborn to remove from your skin. Safety is paramount, regardless of your choice. Always work in a well-ventilated area to avoid inhaling fumes. Use a mask if necessary and protect your eyes with safety glasses. Now, the fun part. Personalizing your stool to match your aesthetic. You could stencil a pattern or a quote on the seat, add a cushion for comfort, or even embellish it with some decorative elements. The sky is the limit when it comes to customization. Finally, once all is dry and set, you might want to apply a protective top coat. This will not only enhance the look, but also increase the durability of your stool, helping it withstand daily wear and tear. And there you have it. You've successfully built and personalized your own wooden stool. Remember, with DIY, the possibilities are endless.